you want to know how amazing people connect? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Marketing with Russ, aka #RussSelfie.
Thanks for connecting. And if you like what you hear, please share.
Special thank you to our sponsors of Marketing with Russ, Lincoln Media Group, and Accountable R&R Bookkeeping in Lebanon, Oregon. For more information on Lincoln Media Group and their media and advertising services, go to lincolnmediagroup.com. And for more information on Accountable R&R Bookkeeping in Lebanon, Oregon, and their accounting services, go to arrbookkeeping.com. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Marketing with Russ, aka #RussSelfie. So glad to have you with us today on this Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time here in Oregon on the West Coast. And I'm just glad to have you no matter what time of day it is, no matter what day it is. I'm just glad to have you here with us today. And what a blessing. What a blessing it is to be able to go with this community every Monday and Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time on Marketing with Russ. And you know what? I love it because live streaming allows you the opportunity to continue to build community. You know, I'm all about connection and community building. And so I am so glad you are here and part of this community. Want to let you know the reason I am here is because I want to inspire and encourage you to live a purpose-driven life of significance. What does that mean? I want you to be a world changer. I want you to be a difference maker. I want you to do the amazing things God has created you to do. And you know what? You have amazing in you just ready to burst out. So I want to encourage you today to get out there and do amazing things. Take a step forward, show up, and then start moving forward, and amazing things are going to happen. So anyway, I want to tell you a little bit about the show. We have Ted Rubin on this morning. I'm so excited to have him here. But before we get to Ted, I want to tell you, we are all about connection here. And this show is all about how amazing people connect. So marketing and business, connection and community building is the foundation for any good business, any good marketing plan. You need people, just like Zig Ziglar says, you build a people and then the people build your business. Same with your life. You invest in people, they will invest in you. So we are all about how amazing people connect. Ted is absolutely one of those amazing people going to be with us today. The best way to connect with me is russhedge.com. Russhedge.com is the simplest, easiest way. It's got all of my connection points, social media, my email, my phone number. You can even schedule time directly on my calendar to Zoom with me. And if we have not connected, I would love to do that. So please connect there today. Also, YouTube. Love to have you become part of the community on our YouTube page. It is so easy to go there to subscribe. All you got to do is go to marketingwithruss.live. That's right. Marketingwithruss.live. You can open a separate tab. You can click subscribe. You'll get notices of all upcoming content, and you'll get the access to the amazing people we've had in the past. I'm over 300 shows here on Marketing with Russ. We have Russ Reels Live and other live streams too on there. So love to have you join that community. Also, right now, whether you're watching live or on replay, you can hit that share button. Hit the share button. Share this out to your friends, to your community. Let them know what's going on. And Ted Rubin is going to be here. They don't want to miss it. So super excited about that. So that is the basics I want to get to you today, other than if you haven't got your copy of Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose, my book to encourage you and inspire you to live a purpose-driven life. It's all about how you can actually live the life you choose. Because you know what I always say, life happens and then you choose, right? Not all of life is great. Let's face it. A lot of you know that I've been going through this cancer battle and really struggling over the last few weeks. But you know what? I choose to move forward. I choose to keep a positive attitude. I choose to live a life that makes a difference. And so today, I want to just encourage you to do the same. All right. Well, I think that is enough for me. I think we're going to get Ted in the room and get this party started. Here he comes, Mr. Ted Rubin. Woo!
Great to be here. Thanks for having me, Russ.
You bet. I mean, what an honor, Ted. Thank you so much. I have heard your name over and over from many of my good friends, Alan Hennessy, Jason Cooper, D. Scott Smith. A lot of them have just continually say, you got to have Ted on your show. He is incredible. So when you and I got a chance to talk, man, what an awesome individual you are. And I just appreciate you've taken the time today.
I just appreciate you having me here. You know, sometimes a lot of times it's hard for us to view ourselves the way others view us. So I'm just glad that when I look at myself and say, like, why do people really want to listen to me? Sometimes I kind of get myself a little crazy with what I'm saying, or, you know, the passion I kind of bring to the table. But it's nice to know that others actually appreciate it. And you asking me to be here just shows that to me. So thank you,
You bet.
for having me here.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, absolutely. You know, I know about some of the amazing things you're doing, but for the few people that don't know you and don't know who is Ted Rubin and what are you up to, give us a little insight and a little background.
Well, you know, truth be told, I don't consider a lot of it amazing. It's just, you know, like you said, you get up every day and you do something and you try to affect other people's lives. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an intrapreneur. Probably first and foremost, I'm a dad and a divorced dad. And I've had my struggles there. And a lot of what I do outside of that is to, you know, share what I've learned. There's a quote, life is not about waiting for the storm to pass, about learning to dance in the rain. And I've been trying to dance most of my life, because if you wait for that perfect moment, it just doesn't come. I'm a speaker. I'm an author. I like to call myself a provocateur. And really, more than an intrapreneur, I think I was an intra-provocateur in that it wasn't necessarily starting something completely new, but it was in provoking a company to maybe look at something a little differently. Right now, I'm mostly doing consulting. I travel a lot. I was the MC and acting CMO of Brand Innovators for 6 years, from 2013 to 2019. I've now kind of reinserted myself back in the community, and I've been fortunate enough that the company looks at me as like a friend of the family. So I'm back out there again, folks. If I'm in your city, I usually post when I'm coming. Please connect. I'd love to meet you face to face. And, you know, like Russ talks about here, you know, my thing is return on relationship. I've kind of adopted this new thing from my buddy Steve Harper. Let's ripple. It basically, you know, every action creates a ripple effect. And so let's start a ripple and do some good. And let's have a conversation here. Russ, I'm really looking forward to speaking to you.
Well, that is awesome. Two things that really stuck out to me there, Ted. First of all, dancing in the rain. You know, if we wait around for all the great, perfect moments in life, we're not going to be doing anything, not moving forward, not taking action, because there are a lot of struggles in life, and that's okay. That's just the way life is, you know. And so, but it's our perspective on life, our perspective of how we look at those struggles. And you have such a great perspective. Also, I love the ripple. Every action creates a reaction. You do something positive, it affects so many people. And it could be the other way, vice versa. And I think with all that you're doing in your books and your speaking and all that you've done, you have such a positive ripple effect. I think that's amazing.
You know what I love about it is that, you know, I was listening to you talk, and I love your approach. I love your brand. I just feel that sometimes people hear this stuff and they think when someone says go out tomorrow and do amazing things, they start thinking on the amazing part instead of just do some things.
Right.
And that's what I love about this whole concept of the ripple effect. And I love adopting other people's things, because I love when somebody comes up with something good, they show it to you, they want you to embrace it, and you embrace it, which I do. And then they encourage that. Instead of somebody, sometimes these people will get a call that says, oh my God, this guy, Ted Rubin, he's talking about the ripple effect. Isn't that yours? Well, no, it's something that I'm trying to bring to the world. It's just like when people talk about return a relationship and don't mention my name, I have no problem with that at all. I just want the concept and the idea, and people understanding that it's more about return relationship is not versus ROI. A lot of people hear ROR versus ROI. It's something that enhances it. So I just want everybody to know that, like, for me, doing amazing things is just smiling at the person that walks by. It's just asking somebody how their day is, and actually listening when they answer you, instead of just walking by and continuing on your way. And like you said, that starts a ripple effect, because maybe that person does something because you did something to them, or they think again, like, people walk around with their earbuds now all the time. I say hello to people, and they, like, at first I think they're ignoring me. Then I realize they're not even hearing me. So I realized that maybe I've got to wave to them or do something just to let them know that I'm paying attention.
Right. Well, and I think that people don't realize, Ted, that when I say amazing, amazing is just doing things, is moving forward, because, I really feel that God's put amazing in all of us, just ready to burst out and help somebody. And that can be as simple as a smile. I loved it when my kids were young. I say hi to everybody, and I'm like you. And so I'm out, and embarrassing my children. Of course, as a dad, that's my job, to embarrass my children. And,
Absolutely.
but I would love it because, there was some young uh, kids, teenagers that would try to act really tough, and they'd be walking by us. We'd be out for a walk, and I'd say, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I'd smile at them. And suddenly, instead of acting tough, they're looking at me going, "Oh, hi, yeah, have a good day." It totally changes the person. Something very simple, a kind word or a little smile. Part of what, you talked about the ripple effect. We didn't make this up, but we use the hashtag 1000 thanks to remind people to be thankful. I didn't create thankfulness. I probably didn't even create that hashtag of the group of us that came up with that. Sure, it's been used 1,000 times, but you know what? It's the idea, spreading that out. Goodness and thankfulness and kindness is something the world needs more of, right?
It can be, I want to express this correctly. I am not putting these things down. But what's happened with them is a lot of us are just so inside of them that we don't see what's going on around us. And again, I'm one of the guys that's taking pictures because I want to share it with people. But, I try to say hello to people just to wake them up a little bit. And a lot of it is about perspective. Look, we're all very, very busy. I find every day blows by so quickly, and I don't get nearly as much done as I'd like to. And I used to get phone calls and I'd be like, oh, like I'd see who it was, and it's somebody I know I can't be on for just 30 seconds. And I'd be worrying about the time it would take away from the other stuff I was accomplishing. So it's about mindset and perspective. I turn my head around now, and when I see those calls, I look at it as an opportunity to connect with somebody or to hear more about them. And instead of worrying about the time I'm missing, and don't think I don't have to work at this every day. Instead of that mindset of, oh man, now I got to put this down. I'm not going to finish till later than I expected. Maybe I won't get to the gym as soon as I wanted. I look at it as an opportunity that this person reached out and I want to spend some time with them.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great perspective too, because reaching out to others and taking advantage of opportunities is so important. In fact, the LinkedIn newsletter that I put out today, there's a great quote that says, "The opportunity of a lifetime must be taken advantage of within the lifetime of the opportunity." Opportunities pass us all the time, right? And so if we want to take advantage of those, the opportunities and possibilities are all around us. We just have to actually step forward and engage and take action. And that takes community and people, just like you said, building people up and all that you do. Just amazing, Ted. Amazing. So listen, let me divert a little bit. Tell everybody about, you've written a couple books, and you speak around the country. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I used to speak all around the country. I don't really much anymore. That kind of went away for me with COVID.
Okay.
So in 2020, I had 20 speaking gigs booked, And it was really most of what I was doing for income. The other things I was doing, I was on boards. I was part of startups where I wasn't taking any kind of pay. And we all know that kind of went away overnight. Now, a lot of people converted to online speaking. It just really wasn't something for me. I do these kind of things because I love doing them with people like you, but speaking to an audience when you're like at an event audience via Zoom or remotely just doesn't really do it for me. I don't get the feedback from the audience. I don't get the passion from the audience. I just made a decision not to do that. So that kind of business went away from me. Now I find that to rebuild it, I would probably need to do something I had never done before, which would be get an agent, get an agency, work with a group. Not something I really want to do. But I am traveling again. I am going to brand innovator events and engaging with people. I started writing a book in 2012. Now, my first real public writing was Twitter, because I find it very easy to have the kind of conversation we're having here. I find it difficult to write it out. It's never been a talent of mine. I'm not the guy you get to create content. If you're going to give me a particular subject and say, I want you to write something about this, it needs to be something that I care about or I'm passionate about or something that I've been fired up about. Talking about it is kind of different. And then all of a sudden this thing called Twitter came around, and I discovered it in 2008. And it was amazing because you could write one sentence and it was considered publishing. And not only that, but that sentence at the time could only be 140 characters, even better. And somehow I had a talent for getting a point across in 140 characters that kind of brought me to be the most followed CMO on Twitter at the time and for many years thereafter. And so I'm very happy here. I'm publishing on Twitter. All the people that told me I had to get my thoughts out are somewhat satisfied. And then a mentor of mine, Dean Landsman, sits me down and goes, you got to start a blog. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you got to start a blog. You got to take this to the next level. I'm like, dude, I'm finally publishing. Like, leave me alone. I'm good. He's like, no, you got to do it. I said, so you mean I got to write like whole paragraphs? He's like, look, put a tweet on as a blog post. Do something. Start somewhere. I started tedrubin.com back in 2009. If you look at my first posts, they were a couple of sentences. I mean, I worked for Seth Godin for a number of years. So I kind of looked at Seth and said, well, he just writes short paragraphs and that's his blog post. Although I didn't have that skill. I had the great one sentence skill. It didn't expand into small paragraphs. But what I learned was that you can teach yourself something like this. You can figure out shortcuts that make it work for you. And what worked for me was I would take comments I wrote in other people's blogs and turn it into blog posts. And because very often those comments were there because I was passionate about something. Either I agreed with them or I disagreed with them. And then I would take that concept and expand on it. And I started, writing a blog. And then all of a sudden this thing, Return Relationship, came about. And if you want to hear that story, I'm happy to tell it. So just nod your head if you want to hear that story. But I was at Elf Cosmetics. I was the CMO. It was a small company. They had a few $1 million in sales. They brought me in because I had a background, not just in marketing, but in sales. And they needed their marketer to be directly involved in generating sales. And shortly after I got there, I realized that the future for them, being that they had no marketing budget, was this thing called social media. It was 2008. Facebook was just starting to really expand. Twitter was really just first starting to expand. And I kind of jumped in with both feet. And I started building something that you're passionate about, a community. And I learned over many years, I always considered myself a networker. Everywhere I went, I met somebody. I added them to my friend group. I communicated with them, whether it was sleepaway camp as a kid, whether it was every school I went to, every job I ever had. And what I came to learn, that it wasn't so much about networking for me, it was about community building. And I like to say that a network gives you reach, but a community gives you power. Networks connect, communities care. And I started doing this thing at Elf Cosmetics, and I recognized that these women were passionate about cosmetics. They were really passionate about the fact that Elf was this low-priced dollar brand that they could afford, and even if they could afford more, they could spend less on Elf and use that money for something else, which is where our Elfonomics campaign came out of. Think about what you can do with the money you're not wasting on cosmetics. And I was building this community, and Elf was at the time all about discounting. Every email, every ad was about get 25% off, get 15% off, wait for this day and get something. And their business had gotten very wrapped around it. And every day they would ask me, when can we offer discounts to this social media community you're building? And I'm like, not yet, not yet, not yet. Like I quickly recognized, and remember, this isn't the day when there were no Facebook ads. There were no Twitter ads. It was all about community. It was all about getting people to come to your page. And I didn't want to ruin that by having them come, oh, you're just bringing us here for a discount, because I had recognized this group was so passionate about our product and about community. So this is going on over a matter of months, and they call me in all the time. And finally, one time they call me in. I know they're ready to slam the hammer on me. It's a father and son who own this company. They're very, sales and profit oriented, which you have to be as a startup. And they look at me and they go, okay, when can we start marketing these guys? And out of frustration, I looked at them and said, guys, I get where you're coming from. And they said, yeah, where's the ROI? And I'm like, well, you're not giving me budgets for this. I've got a few interns. I said, but it's not all about return on investment. It's about return on relationship. It just came out of my mouth. It had been forming. I had never written about it. I had never posted about it. And these two very financially focused founders stared at me, and they started shaking their head. And in my head, I'm going, I don't know what's going on. And they look at me and they go, return on relationship. We'd like to hear more about that. And that's all I heard right away. And I'm thinking, I don't got more. Like, I'm going to have to make it up on the spot. And they go, but we're really busy right now. We've got another meeting in 5 minutes. So let's finish up on the other stuff we have to cover. And let's get back together next week and talk about this return on relationship thing. I walk out of the office. It's 2009. I tweet out to my 2,000 followers, which at the time was considered a lot. It's not just about return on investment. It's about return on relationship. And my Twitter feed exploded. And from that day forward, the learning I took from that was that Twitter was a great place to test things out, to get feedback, to see what people are going to say. And I still use it to see if something is relatable to people. I come up with an idea. The first place I put it is Twitter, because first of all, it moves very quickly and it's not static. So it's not like your post is sitting up there. If it's hated, if it's ignored, it kind of just moves along in the feed. But you get immediate feedback, whether it be via likes or comments or someone who reaches out to you in a private message about it. And I spent the next week or two putting some meat behind the bone and then started writing about it. And it took on a life of its own. And I've been preaching it all along. And then the same thing happened. 2012 came along and everyone's going, you got to write the book. You got to write the book. I'm like, oh man, I finally wrote a blog. Do I have to write a book now? Like, I don't even know where to start. And I was very fortunate. I was at an event where I was a panelist and the moderator was Catherine Rose. And we, lo and behold, of course, the topic of return on relationship came up. We talked about it. Some people in the audience asked me why I haven't written the book. I kind of gave them the same answer I gave here. I get off the stage because we have to talk. I'm taking you to lunch tomorrow. And I ended up writing the book with Catherine. She said, I will get us the publisher. I will get us the editor. I am a relationship marketer, so it's on brand for me. It's not like, why is Catherine Rose co-authoring this book with you? And you can still have ownership of the term return on relationship, as much ownership as you can have. Ownership comes from use, as we know in this world, when it comes to a term like that, like Russ Selfie or Ted Psaki. I'm sure you've heard that.
There you go.
So that's kind of the story between how that happened. And then I wrote a few more books basically in the same vein. There were terms that I was using, things that I was writing about. And what I've learned is that if you write a book, I don't write them for the sales of the book. I write it because it gives you ownership of the topic.
Yeah. This is what I find amazing about you. You've been able to learn and grow, repurpose content that you've done and create something. I love you go from the small Twitter output to a blog to a book. And that is what people need to realize is it's one step at a time. You grew through the process with help of your community, which is what we all should be doing. I love this platform because I learn and grow every time. Ted, I sit here and just am soaking it in, and I've been jotting down notes. I love the return on relationship because that is what I am all about for sure. You know what? It's not always about ROI, and people push the money part so much But where's the money? Where's the money? And they lose track of what's really important. And if you want long-term growth and results in your life or your business, you need the ROR. You need the return on relationship.
I wrote a post yesterday that I posted to LinkedIn, and it's that there are some amazing new technologies that are moving very quickly right now that are going to change the world in many ways, and they're game changers for us. But don't forget the people, because in the end, it's always about the people. And too often we see a chat GPT or NFTs or crypto or the metaverse or whatever it is. And those things are going to be remarkable. Some of them are remarkable already today, and they're going to change things. But again, in the end, it's about the people. And too often we look past that. Like, it's the same thing with data. I love data. Data is really important. I'm not a big data guy just because I don't have the patience to dig through it. I love when someone condenses it for me. But in the end, it's not about the data. It's about the judgment you use to utilize the data.
Yeah.
And judgment is about people.
Yeah, no, exactly. My good friend and co-host D. Scott Smith, one of my live streams, The Experience Live with Russ and Scott. Um, he always is full of so much information, and I just tell him, "Can you boil that down and give me the Reader's Digest version? Because I
Right.
just want kind of what is the information I really need." He just, he's the data and information guy. And so anyway, I just love that. You and I are so much alike. Well, listen, hey Ted. I'm gonna definitely have to have you back on again because there's no way we have 3 or 4 shows worth of talking here. But for the end of today's show, give everybody a little gold nugget, what you really want them to remember from today, and how did people get in touch with you?
Okay, so I'm going to give you two, if that's okay.
Good.
One is based on what we've been talking about here. Wrong side. And return on relationship. Relationships are like muscle tissue. The more you engage them, the stronger and more valuable they become. And then I want you to take away something else, because we've been talking a lot about who we are and personal brands. Like, we haven't used that term, but we've kind of been talking about it, that a brand is what a business or a person does, but it's a reputation that people remember and share. So think about that, because mostly it's your actions versus your words that create your reputation. And as far as
Wow.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I just say, wow, I love that. Go ahead. Keep going.
And then as far as getting in touch with me, look, it's really easy. Google Ted Rubin. There's a million things there. My phone number and my email address is in all my profiles. Well, not all of them, but LinkedIn and Facebook. It's tedrubin@gmail.com. My phone number is 516-270-5511. My voicemail is not full, and I do answer my phone. And if I don't, and the voicemail takes a message, I do call people back. And I just want to throw one last shout out here to Scott, because he's the one that introduced us. You might call him a data guy, but he's also a great personality. I met him in Ireland. If he did not have that ability to connect with people face to face, we wouldn't be here today. So thank you, Scott.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Scott has been such a great friend for so long, and he is actually the one that inspired me to really, when right before COVID hit, to get started with my business and doing what I'm doing. And
Nice.
so, what a great friend he is, and yeah, I can't tell you how much I appreciate Scott. So, anyway, well, listen, Ted, amazing, amazing. I'm telling you, people just need to remember, like I said before, you all have a little bit of amazing just ready to burst out. Just like Ted said, it's your actions, not just your words, that make a difference, right? Build community, connect with each other. I love everybody in the comments connecting with each other. We love that. Building this community, getting the word out, and getting you great people like Ted Rubin here that connect and tell you information you need to know. So, Ted, listen, I'm going to say goodbye to you, but hang tight in the green room and I'll wrap things up and be right there. Thank you. Hey, everybody. All right. Marketing with Russ. Amazing people. I'm telling you, why are they amazing? Because they're doing something. Just like Ted said, actions speak louder than words. Get out there, show up, take advantage of the opportunities around you. Smile at somebody. It doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot. It takes a simple little act. Thank somebody. Tell people how much you appreciate them, right? These are the things that make a difference in the world. When you show you care for people, they will care for you. And I love what Ted said today that I want to remind you is networks connect, but communities care. I love that. And you know what? I care about all of you and I appreciate you here. I appreciate each one, all your love and prayers for me and the strength that I get, from God and from you. I'm moving forward and I thank you for that. And so today we're going to wrap things up. I just want to thank everybody again for being here. We're here every Monday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time and Marketing with Russ for your listening and viewing pleasure. And please subscribe on YouTube. Just go to marketingwithruss.live, marketingwithruss.live, and you can subscribe there today. And we'd love to have you here. Even if you're watching this on replay, don't forget you can still share it. Let other people know that sits on the platforms. And also the YouTube community is such an easy place to find all the great episodes here on Marketing with Russ. So, okay, until we talk to you again, which will be this coming Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, we'll have another amazing guest. Have a great day and a great life. See you, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of Marketing with Russ, aka #RussSelfie. Be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcast app so that you don't miss a single episode. Have an amazing day.